So I just got home a few days ago from a backpacking trip, and I'm now just getting my gear all cleaned up and put away. And what I want to do is show you guys my process of what I do to clean up my gear, put it away, have it stored and ready for the next backpacking trip. So we're gonna go through each piece of gear, lay everything out, and just go through all of that process so that it can help you have your gear stored away properly and ready for the next time you go out on a backpacking trip. So I've got my pack still all packed up that needs to be cleaned up and just everything put away properly. So a lot of times when you are coming back from a trip, maybe things are still wet or they're very dirty and you just kind of like haphazardly put stuff into your backpack to get back to the car. So something that is super important is making sure that your water bag is cleaned out properly and your water filter is also back flushed and ready for long-term storage. You got to prevent mold and that kind of issue that can come from improperly storing your stuff. The next thing I really like to do is go through my first aid kit and check to make sure that I've pulled out any garbage from using the first aid kit and then replenish the kit so that it is again ready for the next trip I'm going on. This is going to be my electronics bag. In here, I'll pull stuff out and I will clean it up and put it on the charger so that it's charged and ready to go for the next trip, and just put things away in the places that they are supposed to go. So I've got bins and everything behind me here that makes it so I can keep things organized and prep it and have it all in the right place so that I'm able to find it super easy for the next time I go out. And I think this process of using like a table that I've got here to lay everything out is very helpful in getting organized and seeing all the stuff that needs to be cleaned and then put away in the right spot. A lot of times you're gonna have a bunch of like rocks and just things collected in the side of your pack, sand and leaves. So I'll dump my pack out outside to make sure that I'm not bringing that into my gear storage area and it's all clean and ready to go. So obviously I'm gonna take any trash that I have and put that in the garbage can. But then some key aspects for your gear that is going to make your gear last longer is, first, any apparel that you've got needs to be washed. So I've got used underwear, I've got dirty socks, thermal bottoms. All of this needs to go into the washing machine and make sure that it is super clean, because right now those socks stink. Let's talk about your sleeping bag. This has been in a compression bag for several days now. And if you were in a humid environment or it was wet from condensation inside of your tent, you've got to get your bag dry. So I will make sure that I'm always storing my sleeping bag in a way that keeps it in an uncompressed state, but also in a dry place. So I'm going to pull it out of the compression bag, but then I will also unzip it all the way, if it's not a quilt, but I'll unzip it all the way, shake out any of the dirt, and then I'm gonna hang this to let it air out. And I can even put it in the dryer without any heat, to just kind of help it like fluff up with its loft and stuff again. But I want to make sure that this is completely dry before I put it in any kind of storage bag. Next, I'm going to look at my shelter. This is also one thing that if you don't put it away properly, it's going to get mildew, it's going to get mold, it's going to stink, and it's going to affect the overall lifespan of that shelter. So I'm going to take this out. I'm going to also shake it out and get as much dirt and stuff off of it as possible. That might mean turning it inside out to get sand or dirt and stuff that is inside of the tent out of the tent, so that you're rolling it up and it's super clean and ready to go. Got to make sure that your tent is dry 100% before you ever put it back into a stuff bag. Same with a footprint. Clean it up, make sure it's dry before you put it back in a stuff bag. Now with your cooking gear, obviously you're gonna have like maybe a dirty spoon that needs to be washed, but your pot also needs to be cleaned. So I'll take my stove, in this case the MSR wind burner, I'm gonna pull the stove out of it, but then I'm gonna take these 3 pieces, they're gonna go into the sink, and I'm gonna wash all of this stuff and just make sure it's dried out really good before I put it into a bin with a closed lid and store it for a longer period of time. Then lastly, sleeping pad. This may have some condensation on it, or oftentimes what you'll find is you've had some spindrift of wind blowing dirt or sand into your tent or your shelter, and you've got dirt and sand and stuff that is on top or on your sleeping pad. So taking this out, making sure it's dry and clean before you roll it back up and put it into storage before you go out on your next trip. So the idea here is to make sure that things are dry, they are clean, and they're just prepped in a way that makes it so when you put it away in storage, they're not going to grow mold, mildew, be stinky, and have issues with their longevity over a long period of time. So you have to take the time to do all of this. Even though it's not super fun, it is super important process for your backpacking and taking care of your gear. But thank you for watching today. If you're not subscribed to the channel, you know what to do. Hope you have an awesome day. See you later.